Have you ever told someone the absolute truth and had it blow up in your face? What if that person was a narcissist? This is just about honesty is the best policy. It's about the brutal reality of truth-telling when genuine sincerity is weaponized against you. We're asking the uncomfortable question. In these toxic dynamics, is honesty ever truly rewarded? We all know how it feels to swallow hard, gather our courage, and tell the truth. Maybe you decided to speak up at work, finally setting a boundary with a friend or ended a toxic relationship. And then comes the fallout. Suddenly you're left questioning, was I too blunt? Was it really necessary? And worst of all, was it worth it? But when you're dealing with a narcissist, the stakes are higher. They're masters at twisting the truth and making it a weapon. So why would anyone want to play this game? The short answer? Because it feels good. Telling the truth can bring a sense of relief, a weight lifted off your shoulders. It's freeing to finally say what's on your mind, even if the consequences aren't always pretty. The problem arises when that honesty triggers a narcissistic rage, leaving you feeling more hurt than if you'd just stayed quiet. When you realize the cost of being truthful in a world where people would rather live in make-believe than face the ugly truth. So why do we tell the truth in a world that so often reacts badly to it? The answer lies in our wiring. Our brains love comfort, even when it's a lie. That new age guru selling you false hope, or the motivational speaker giving you empty platitudes. These people know how to sell dreams because, let's face it, sometimes the truth hurts. Being lied to is easier than facing reality. Think about it. When someone feeds you a comforting falsehood, your brain doesn't have to deal with the discomfort of an uncomfortable truth. But it's the same reason why most of us don't confront people who are clearly living in a fantasy world. It's easier to go along with it than to risk upsetting the balance. Then there's the social pressure to conform. We don't like being different. Being told we're wrong makes us defensive, even if we secretly know the other person is right. Most of us have been chastised for speaking our minds at some point. Remember the kid who got picked on for being too smart or different? Telling the truth often means rocking the boat, and few of us want to be the center of attention for the wrong reasons. These pressures teach us from an early age that honesty isn't always the best policy. Instead, we learn to navigate the world by reading unwritten rules, avoiding controversy, and keeping our heads down. It's a survival mechanism. And who wants to be the odd one out? Especially when it comes to narcissists. They're the ultimate truth busters. Why? Because truth threatens their carefully crafted reality. Dealing with a narcissist is like walking on eggshells around a ticking bomb. Narcissists live in a world of fantasy and fiction, a world where they're always the hero and everyone else is to blame. This fantasy is their drug of choice, and they'll do anything to protect it, including twisting the truth until it screams their narrative. Gaslighting is their favorite trick. You remember those times when you felt like you were going crazy, doubting your own memory and judgment because a narcissist convinced you that you're wrong? That's gaslighting in action. They're experts at planting seeds of doubt and watching you second-guess yourself. So why would you dare tell them the truth? Deflection is another one of their many weapons. Have you ever tried to give honest feedback to a narcissist, only to have them deflect and twist it into something you never said? Suddenly you're the bad guy for saying the quiet part out loud? And let's not forget the grand finale, the silent treatment. This is their way of saying, I'm too good for this conversation. They shut down, refuse to talk to you, and expect you to crawl back and beg for forgiveness. In a world where the truth is subjective, constantly shifting to suit the whims of the powerful, it's no wonder we find ourselves craving honest connections. We all want to be seen and heard, to know that someone gets us without having to explain ourselves over and over again. But finding these connections can feel like searching for a needle in a haystack. What makes it worse is that when we finally think we found it, it can easily slip through our fingers due to our fear of confrontation or a simple misunderstanding. We all know the pain of being misunderstood. It's that sinking feeling when you try to explain something, but no matter how hard you try, the other person just doesn't get it. It's like talking to a brick wall, and it leaves you feeling frustrated, unheard, and sometimes even invisible. Imagine explaining a joke and having it fall flat. Everyone looks at you awkwardly, unsure of how to respond. Or picture trying to describe a vivid dream, only to be met with confused stares. These moments make us question ourselves, our experiences, and even our sanity. They leave us wondering, am I really seeing things, or hearing things? Are my thoughts even my own, or someone else's? Sometimes the ambiguity of these situations can drive us crazy. We find ourselves caught in a tangled web of confusion, unsure of what's real and what's imagined, and longing for that one person who could untangle it all for us. Now let's shift our focus to a common question that has puzzled many. Do narcissists ever admit when they're wrong? If you've ever tried to correct a narcissist or point out their mistake, you've probably encountered resistance, deflection, and even anger. Admitting fault goes against their core belief system, which revolves around being superior and beyond reproach. They thrive on praise and admiration and have a hard time accepting anything less than perfection. Asking a narcissist to admit their mistakes is like asking them to go against their nature. It's simply not in their DNA. Narcissism is a personality style characterized by grandiosity, a lack of empathy, and a constant need for admiration. People with this personality type often have an inflated sense of their own importance and believe that they are entitled to special treatment. As a result, they are resistant to any feedback that challenges their beliefs or makes them feel inferior. Admitting fault would require acknowledging that they are not perfect and that they make mistakes, just like everyone else. This admission would undermine their carefully crafted image and threaten their fragile ego. Instead, they tend to blame others for their mistakes and find ways to justify their behavior. In relationships with narcissists, this can lead to a lot of frustration and resentment. It can be incredibly difficult to have an honest conversation with someone who is unwilling to acknowledge their own faults. In the digital age, the internet has given voice to countless experiences, including those of people who claim to have received apologies from narcissists. However, it's important to consider the motivations behind such apologies. A narcissist may apologize to manipulate or control the situation, not out of genuine remorse. For example, a narcissistic parent may apologize to their adult child in order to manipulate them back into the family dynamic, rather than genuinely acknowledging their past mistakes. Seeking an apology from a narcissist can also be a futile exercise. Many people have shared stories of reaching out to their abusers, only to be met with further manipulation or abuse. Narcissists often view apologies as a sign of weakness and are unlikely to offer them freely. Furthermore, even when an apology does occur, it's crucial to assess its sincerity. Narcissists are adept at feigning remorse to achieve their goals, but their apologies often lack genuine empathy and a willingness to take responsibility. When dealing with a narcissist, it's essential to recognize their manipulative tendencies and remain cautious. While it's natural to hope for an apology or acknowledgement of wrongdoing, it's crucial not to become overly optimistic. Narcissists are unlikely to change their behavior unless it serves their interests. Therefore, it's vital to set realistic expectations and protect oneself from further harm. Ultimately, it's not about winning the argument or getting the narcissist to admit they're wrong. It's about recognizing their limitations and prioritizing your own well-being. It's easy to get sucked into the black hole of analyzing every word and action, but here's the secret truth. Narcissists don't play by the rules of logic or empathy. Their actions are driven by ego, control, and a lack of accountability. Trying to understand their actions through the lens of honesty and sincerity is like trying to fit a round peg in a square hole. It just doesn't work. Instead, we need to shift our perspective and approach these relationships with a different mindset. We need to detach from the need for them to validate our experiences. When you stop seeking external validation and start valuing your own truth, you free yourself from the shackles of their distorted reality. It's about reclaiming your narrative and refusing to let their twisted logic define your reality. No longer should you have to walk on eggshells around them, fearing that your own story won't be heard or believed. Your journey towards healing and growth doesn't require their approval. It only requires your courage to speak your truth and your strength to face whatever comes next. Remember, their inability to acknowledge your truth doesn't diminish your truth. It only reflects their inability to handle the discomfort of authenticity. So speak your truth, knowing that its power lies not in their recognition, but in your liberation.